Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, Instagram. I want to talk about the one belief today that completely 10x my confidence and my impact. So let me give you a quick backstory today to today's conversation because it's rooted in real experiences. And for those of you who have a desire to be a personal brand, whether that be a coach, a speaker, or leader in leadership, consulting, where your personal mastery and your personal persona are what you sell, today's conversation is for you. Good morning, Stacy on YouTube. Always here. Always happy to see my regulars. What's up, Instagram? I'm going to share with you a belief today that's going to change the game. Let me give you a little backstory as to why we're having this conversation. So, a couple times a year, we host a 30-day vegan, salt, oil, and sugar-free challenge. Hence the shirt. So a couple times a year, we host this challenge. And this past challenge, which happened in January of 2025, we had several people in the challenge who were interested in having their own speaking and coaching businesses. They were just getting started. They're new to this information, new to this lane, new to entrepreneurship, many of them. And I was having a one-on-one session with one of our challengers. So we have VIP and we have Ultra VIP in the challenge. And so if people purchase Ultra VIP, they get a private coaching session, right? So one of our Ultra VIP challengers, we had a private coaching session, and she shared with me what her vision was. She shared with me what she believed her calling to be. She had a divine download and a desire to start a teen mentorship program for teen girls. And during this one-on-one session with one of our VIP challengers, she shared with me that she had this desire to start this mentorship program for teen girls for years. I asked her very specifically, what do you feel like your assignment is, right? When it comes to adhering to our protocol in the 30-day vegan challenge, sometimes our challengers have an issue because they're like, this is challenging, giving up meat, eggs, dairy, seafood, salt, oil, and sugar. And so one of the things that we tell them to do is to give their health an assignment, right? And what that means is, what's the point of you getting healthy above and beyond your personal longevity and your personal health? And so she said she felt like her assignment was to start a mentorship program for teen girls, right? And she had shared with me that she had been sitting on this assignment for years, and she had struggled, with some confidence and some belief, which is why she hadn't started this initiative. And what I know to be true after many, many conversations with a lot of you is it goes for many of you as well. Many people who desire to start something, whether it be a business or an initiative or a mentorship program, some kind of way you want to give back. You've, witnessed something in the world that you feel passionate about and you want to serve a specific a segment of the population. Many of us struggle with confidence, and many of us struggle with impact, right? Really like launching, doing the thing that you feel called to do. And so that is the catalyst for today's conversation. I want to share with you what changed it for me. Like, what was the belief that finally got me to believe in myself, i.e., trust in myself, also known as confidence. Confidence is just your ability to trust yourself. So what shifted for me? What was the belief that finally got me to trust myself and then completely 10x my impact? Now, let me tell you something. This person in our challenge, she shared with us during class just this week that she has launched her mentorship program for teen girls, and they are going on like their third month, and they're doing outings and having all this great time. But she was like, Lisa, there's a question you asked me during the challenge that really shifted things for me. There was 2 questions that I asked her. We can call it a 2-question assessment. I've asked a lot of our students this question before, and I think this question is going to be helpful for you guys as well who are struggling with launching. If you have a failure to launch, if you have, an idea that you still have not gotten off the ground. If you got a book you're supposed to write, a nonprofit you're supposed to start, a coaching business, speaking business that you're interested in, whatever it is, a product-based business, it doesn't matter what it is. Maybe it's a leadership role you want to go after in your 9 to 5. Why are you not progressing and going after that thing? And especially if it's tied to service, if there's some type of way that you want to transform other people's lives, but you're not really doing it, this episode is going to be for you. So welcome back to the live recording of the Plant Protocol podcast with yours truly, the forever voice in your head, Coach Lisa A. Smith, your favorite plant-based and business coach, health and business coach, here to take your health to the next level. And when we do that, we take your business to the next level. So today we're talking business again. And let me share with you what that belief is. Now, this is how I knew I had to share this with y'all. So I had the conversation with this young lady about her teen mentorship program in January. But then here's what happened. We launched the current cohort of our plant-based coaching program, Farm to Table. That's our 12-week plant-based health coaching program where we help individuals who desire personal brands to optimize their physical, mental, and emotional health so that they can go crazy in business, right? So I've been facilitating Farm to Table since 2016, right? So we got it down to a fine science. It's a pretty solid running machine. We get results for people. So here's what happened. I'm teaching a current cohort of Farm to Table, right? And one of our students shared the story that I just shared with you. However, what began to happen is I have several other students in this cohort of Farm to Table who started raising their hand to share their assignment. This is what I believe I'm called to do. This is what I would like to do. I want to do this in my field. I'm in nursing, but I want to bring holistic health to nursing. I'm passionate about helping women overcome fear, and I want to help them do that. I'm passionate about seniors, and I want to help seniors do this. And so people started raising their hand. And so what would happen is I would ask them, well, what are you currently doing? Give me the steps that you're taking to actually get that thing off the ground so I can help you refine those steps, tell you what your next steps should be, coach you on the business side, right? And guess what I kept hearing over and over and over again, y'all? Over and over again, I had people saying like, oh, right now I'm taking a couple courses to teach me this. I'm getting some type of certification or some type of credential to get those letters behind my name. I'm reading some books. I am listening to this information. I found this course. I found this program. I found this certification. And what I started hearing over and over again was how people are gathering more and more and more and more information before they launched. Here it is, okay? The belief that completely changed my confidence and changed my impact that I had to change is that I stopped believing that consumption alone makes you good. I stopped believing that consumption of more information, more credentials was going to make me good. I started believing that producing makes you good. Let me give you a couple of examples, right? Now, this is especially prevalent, this belief that consumption is going to make me good as a speaker, as a coach, as a leader, as a nonprofit founder. This belief that consumption is going to make me good. I don't know about a whole bunch of other audiences, demographics, but I know my audience, which is overwhelmingly women of color, we struggle with this belief heavily. I don't think it's a coincidence that Black women specifically are the most educated demographic in the US. I believe while that's a super cool stat and it's super dope, I think it also speaks to something. I think it also speaks to our belief that we have to gather an overwhelming amount of information, not before we're qualified. Listen to this sentence. We believe that we have to gather an overwhelming amount of information, not before we're qualified, but to be seen as qualified. which means many of us consume content long past the point of qualification. Listen to me very closely. Part of the reason, if you're listening to this right now, that you have not launched and started serving real humans based on the mastery that you already have is because you're living with a belief that consumption makes you good. And you're wrong. Consumption of information, consumption of certifications and credentials does not make you good. It makes you knowledgeable. It makes you informed. It does not make you good. So what I started noticing among my students is that they were coming to me saying, when I say, what are you doing to launch this initiative? What are you doing to get this business off the ground, to get your speaking career launched, to get this business out of your mind and on the shelf so we can buy it, to get this book out of your mind and on the shelf so we can buy it? What are you doing to get this coaching program out of your mind and in the marketplace so that we can buy it? And they inevitably tell me a list of places where they're consuming information. Not I've started a podcast, not I've started my YouTube channel, not I'm going, live and sharing information on my social media, not, well, I'm working with people in this capacity for free right now. Like I'm working with people in my sorority or I'm working with people at my church. No, not once did anybody say they're working with anybody. Not once did they say they're producing intellectual property. All I hear over and over and over again is that I'm consuming information right now. And the reason we are doing this to our detriment is because we have an inherent belief that consumption makes us good, and it's not true. Consumption does not make you good. Producing makes you good. Consumption makes you informed. Here's the challenge. Many of you have consumed enough up until this point to start producing. I'm not suggesting that there's no value in continuing education. I'm not suggesting that there's no value in constantly learning in your field. Absolutely. Yeah. Mastery requires Con Ed. Mastery requires continuing education. There's no doubt about it. Mastery requires continuing education. However, many of us are consuming past the point of qualification. Like you're already qualified, like you already have receipts, like you already have evidence that you know what you're talking about. You've already done the thing that you're trying to sell or teach or whatever, but you don't feel qualified. And so you keep consuming information and waiting to feel good enough, waiting to feel qualified. So the one belief that I had to shift in order to 10x my confidence and 10x my impact, don't miss that part. And because I'm about to give y'all this 2-question assessment that I gave my student in January. The one belief that I had to shift to 10x my impact and my confidence was, listen to this again, I had to stop believing that consumption makes you good. And I had to start believing that producing is what makes me good. I had to start producing so that I could get better. Now, let me tell you why, okay? Let me tell you why. Despite popular belief. Now, some of your other, your second and third favorite coaches that you listen to, I know I'm your first favorite, but your second, third, and fourth favorite coach that you listen to on these internet streets has probably told you, or your culture has told you, or our traditional education system has told you that consumption gives you mastery. Like, just read one more book, just take one more class, just get one more degree, just get one more certification, just get one more credential, just go to one more conference, just sign up for one more summit, just consume one more bit of information, right? Just keep researching, keep studying, and keep researching. And somewhere along the way, you took that as the more information I consume, I will eventually reach a level of mastery. And you haven't started, you haven't launched, your assignment is still overdue. Like God is still waiting for you to turn in your assignment because you have an inherent belief that consumption is going to give you mastery. You're wrong. Consumption will never give you mastery. That comes from producing. Consumption will never give you mastery. Never. That comes from producing. So, want to know how I developed mastery in nutrition science and lifestyle science? Want to know how I developed mastery in how to start and grow a successful speaking and coaching career? I started teaching it. That's where I got mastery from. I took everything that I consumed, synthesized it, simplified it, turned it into a process, applied it. Mastery does not come from consumption. Let me make it even more plain. In 2017, in July of 2017, I started teaching a monthly class called Get Planted, an introduction to a whole food plant-based lifestyle. I taught that class for 5 years straight. Every first Saturday of the month, from July of 2017 to July of 2023, I taught a class free to the public called Get Planted, an introduction to a whole food plant-based lifestyle. Some of my people watching right now were in some of those classes. They know, like, people been in my ecosystem for years, right? I taught that class for 5 years straight, from 2017 to 2023, every first Saturday of the month. So that wasn't me in the privacy of my home, reading a book or trying to do a online self-guided course, or, just listening to free podcasts. Yeah, I was doing all that stuff, but guess what else I was doing? I was taking every bit of that information, turning it into a lesson plan, and disseminating it to real humans. So the mastery came into place because when I took what I learned and then taught it to real humans, guess what happened? They asked me questions. Guess what happened? They asked me for examples to break it down even more. Guess what happened? They was like, how can I now work with you? This free class ain't enough. So then I was forced to do what? Create a coaching program, create an e-learning portal. Guess what started happening? Somebody else would raise their hand and say, hey, this is so good. Can you come speak at my business? Can you come speak at my company? Can you come speak to my family? I done did living rooms, honey. I don't just do stages. I do living rooms. That's where mastery came in. You have not launched because you believe that you get good from consumption. You don't. You don't get good from consumption. You get good from producing. The moment you go from being a consumer to a producer is when your impact is going to 10x. It's when your confidence is going to 10x. You're waiting to feel confident in the privacy and the darkness of your own home. That's not where confidence comes from. Confidence comes from showing up, turning on the camera, turning on the mic, getting on the stage before you feel 1,000% confident, because now you're producing, because now you get feedback from the real people that you're trying to serve, and they make you masters. Every single one of you listening right now are responsible for my mastery. I'm not responsible for it. You are. You guys have came to my master classes. You have done my 30-day challenges. You have enrolled in my coaching programs. And it is the questions you ask me. It is the feedback you give me. It is the opportunities you give me. Some of you have hired me to work and speak for you. Like, that is what has given me mastery. So if you are struggling with confidence, if you are struggling with impact, you got all these great ideas in your head, but you still ain't helped nobody, I'm not going to shame you. I'm not. Let me sip my tea. I'm not going to shame you. I understand this stuff is hard. I understand we're Black women in America. I understand we have our own unique plight, but enough is enough. Enough is enough. I understand. We brag about being the most educated demographic in the US, but that also speaks to our limiting beliefs. Like, we're not just the most educated because we want to be. We're the most educated because we think we have to be. We're the most educated because we think consuming more information and credentials makes us good. I don't care if you've been in school for your entire adult life. The first time you do that speaking engagement, you still gonna suck. Like, let me just let the cat out the bag so we can move on. I don't care if you've been in college and certification and continuing education programs for the last 20 years of your life trying to master something. The first time you sit down to write a book, the first time you try and create a curriculum for a coaching program, the first client that you coach, you still ain't going to be your best. And you're going to be like, well, wait a minute. Now I've been consuming information for years. Guess what? It's still something you don't know. And you won't know it until somebody asks you the question, and then you know to go learn it. Consumption does not make you good. And that is the limiting belief that's keeping you stuck. That's the limiting belief that you're allowing to delay your obedience. Let me tell you something else. Let me tell you something else. Let me tell you something else. You want to know something? Let me tell you why you do what you do. And then I'm going to give you the 2-question assignment that I gave our student in January. Let me tell you why you do what you do. The reason you continue to consume information, but instead of producing information, the reason you are a consumer of the rest of us who make content, but you're not a producer and you're not allowing other people to consume stuff you produce, I'm going to tell you why. And it got to do with getting high. I'm going to tell you why, and it got to do with getting high. You're a junkie, okay? You keep getting high, right? Like every time you complete another book, you get a dopamine hit. You know, dopamine is a neurotransmitter in it, and it's tied to our pleasure pathway, right? And so every time, you might get a notification, dopamine hit. You get a text message, dopamine hit. You get an email, dopamine hit, Every time you eat that sugar, you ain't supposed to be eating because it causes brain fog and memory loss. It gives you a dopamine hit. That's why it's so hard to kick the sugar, right? That's why I don't believe in moderation, because you hold on to the drug, right? But did you know your consumption is also giving you a dopamine hit, right? So you're a junkie, right? We're all dopamine junkies, to be honest with you. But what's happening, the reason you're such a consumer and you haven't graduated to being a producer, is because every time you open that journal with that pretty ink pen and you sit down and you be like, he said, write the vision and make it plain. And you write the vision, you get a dopamine hit. Every time you share your idea with somebody else and you talk about it, you get a dopamine hit, right? Every time you enroll in another course, you get a dopamine hit. Every time somebody slaps another couple letters behind your neck, you get a dopamine hit. You high as a kite. That's why you can't get nothing done. Every time, like when you get into ecosystems and communities and you get to share your stuff with people, you get a dopamine hit. You get a dopamine hit. And so what's happening is you feel like you're doing something. Like every time you sign up for another course or you listen to another YouTube video or you listen to another audio and it's telling you hit, you just flooding your pleasure pathway. I feel like I'm doing something. You get a hit. You high as a kite. Look at Malika on YouTube. She said, girl, that's me. I love to read and consume. Honey, you high as a kite. Ujo said flying. You hear me? And so you don't want to who wants to let that high go? It feels good. Because listen, here's the challenge, right? Because unfortunately, we still struggle with comparison. And so here's the challenge. When you compare yourself to other people, like you are doing something, you like, well, I'm reading a book trying to master this part of it. I'm studying this. Like I listen to Lisa's stuff. Like I'm doing her challenge and I'm taking notes, right? And so you get dopamine hit after dopamine hit after dopamine hit. But let me tell you something. There is no better high than the high you get from opening your email one morning and somebody saying to you, thank you so much for that 30-day challenge. I lost over 20 pounds and got off of 4 medications because of that. There's no better high than that. There's no better high to waking up opening up Instagram, reading your DMs with somebody saying, I'm in tears right now because I'm binging your podcast and you talking directly to me. This is exactly what I needed. There's no better high than that. There's no better high than logging on to your weekly coaching program and somebody raising their hand to say, I just want to report I had diabetes when this process started and I officially don't have it. My doctor just gave me my work. There's no better high than that. Every single one of those are real examples that happened to me in the last month. There's no better high than that. You settling for a mediocre high. You want to consume information and you're like, you feeling good off of that. You think you're doing something because you're not doing nothing. Like Lisa said, obedience. So let me work on my assignment. Lisa said radical obedience. So let me make sure I just got to consume them. I don't feel good enough yet. I've been a nurse for 30 years and I really think I know but you know what? That ain't good enough. I just need to read 2 more books and I just need to go to 3 more courses and I just need to but I can't produce. I can't turn on. I'm still not ready. And you so high off of that you don't even know what the real high feels like. You don't know what it feels like for somebody to raise their hand in your business accelerator program and be like, I just enrolled my first client in my signature program. You don't know what it feels like for somebody to raise their hand and be like, I just got this speaking gig and the process that you taught us helped me to turn it into another speaking gig. Like, you don't know. Like you chasing the wrong high. What sad junkies we are. What sad junkies we are. We chasing the wrong high. You have no idea. Like you trying to get this little mediocre high from reading a book and taking a course. You have no idea what it feels like to teach a 4-hour leadership workshop and you have women coming up to you in tears, crying, hugging you at the end, saying, I didn't know I needed to be here today, but you said you were talking directly to me and you were speaking to me and thank you for this. That just happened to me this weekend in North Carolina. That's the high you should be chasing. So here's your challenge. Let's review. You have the belief that consumption makes you good. You're wrong. Consumption will never make you good. It will never give you the mastery you need to be successful. Producing gives you the mastery. Not consumption. So we're chasing the wrong high. We get a dopamine hit every time we consume information. And we trick ourselves into believing we doing something. And we look up and we haven't helped anybody. But we have helped ourselves to a little more information that makes us feel like we're a little bit more closer to being ready. Let's get into this 2-question assessment. Listen, I want you guys to get a pen and pad right quick if you can. If you in a situation where you can write this down. What up, Josh? Dope back lawyer watching me. Hey. What up, Josh? Okay. So remember I told you guys, we started today, I told you a story about one of our students who finally, after years of having this assignment in her spirit, she launched her mentorship program for teen girls, right? And I told you, she said the thing that got her to finally start was 2 questions that I asked her in January during our 30-day challenge. So I'm about to ask you those 2 questions. And so I want you to be able to write down your answers if it's possible. It's only 2 questions, so you'll probably remember them. But there's 2 numbers that we need to calculate, okay? So the first question I asked her was, when you think about whatever your assignment is, right? Whatever segment of the population you want to serve, whatever it is, when you think about that initiative, that desire, that dream, that assignment, okay? I want you to answer this first question on a scale of 1 to 100%, on a scale of 1 to 100%. What is your intent? Like, what is your intent with helping that segment of the population? So I'm gonna give you an example. With me, right, I really want to extend the healthy life expectancy for marginalized people, for people of color, right? And I want to make Black history, right? I want to do that. Like right now, the data from like the Health and Human Services says that on average, a Black person lives to this age. I want to extend that. Like I want to extend it historically. Like I want to make a significant impact that says, based on the work that we've done, people used to have an average healthy life expectancy of this number, and now they have an average life expectancy of this number. That's my goal. Okay. That's my assignment, my divine assignment from God. Now, my intent on doing that is 100%. I have 100% intent on doing that through the work that I do as a speaker, as a coach, through developing programs, helping people live more purposefully, which extends life. So helping people build passionate coaching businesses, that extends life, not just what they eat. So all these different ways I have of doing that, of extending the healthy life expectancy for marginalized communities. So what is my intent for fulfilling that assignment is 100%. I think about it all the time. It makes me angry when I see people who can't fulfill their purpose because they're sick, because they're overweight and insecure. It moves me. So what moves you? What gets you upset or angry? What pulls on your heartstrings? Like for some people, I got a lot of people in my community. It's the senior population. They want to help seniors. I have a lot of people in my population. They want to help the babies, right? I have people in my population. They're like, I want to help Black women with low confidence. I have a lot of people in my population who like, I want to help type 2 diabetics. I have what pulls on your heartstrings based on your life experiences, based on your personal experience, right? I want to help other people who were victims of violence or sexual abuse. Whatever it is for you, what is your intent with helping them? From 1 to 100%, what is that intent? Okay. So for me, my intentions are 100%. I intend to help this group of individuals with their healthy life expectancy to live purposeful lives where they are radically obedient to the assignment that God has given them. Okay. That's question number 1, right? That is our intent. Right. Josh said, I'm speaking your language. Oh yeah. Intent is all up in the law field, right? What was the intent? Question number 2, guys. Question number 2. This is the one. Okay. Now, based on the work that you've done to date, to this moment in time, as you're listening to my voice, the next number I need you to put down is from 1 to 100. What has been your impact? What has been your impact? You have, probably most of you, like I have, probably 100% good intentions. You have intentions to write that book. You have intentions to help women with domestic violence. You have good intentions to help single mothers. You have good intentions to help people heal from trauma. You probably got 100% intent. But I want you to juxtapose that with from this date up until this date, where we are, this moment in time, as you're listening to my voice, what has been your impact? What has been your impact? Have you been full speed ahead and doing everything you can on that mission? That will give you 100%. Like you've taken every opportunity, you're producing at the level you feel you can reasonably sustain to help the people that you want to help. What is your impact? If your impact and your intent are not the same number, if you've had 100% intent, but your impact has been like 20%, we got a problem. That was the 2-question assessment that I gave her in January, the student that I told you guys about, who finally launched her program to mentor teen girls. She said, I have been sitting on this for years, trying to be ready, or whatever reason she had, not feeling good enough, not feeling qualified, not knowing where I'm going to get the money from, all of the things, right? She said, but when you asked me those 2 questions, that's what did it for me. I realized I had great intentions and I had 100% intent on doing this one day, someday. But my impact up until this point has been little to nothing. If that is you, you are disobedient and out of alignment. Consuming another ounce of information is not going to move the needle on your impact. Only producing will do that. So where do you need to start producing? Do you need to volunteer for that ministry in church where you can start speaking to people about this thing that do you want to help people with financial literacy? Do you want to help people with mental health? Do you want to help people with physical health? What do you want to help people understand the home buying process or real estate? I don't care what the subject matter is. If all you've had up until this point is good intentions with no impact, shame on you. Consumption does not make you good, and consumption does not move the impact needle. Only producing does. You don't even have to have an offer that people pay for yet. Like just starting a podcast and talking about it, starting a channel and talking about it, like starting a class, shout out to me, for 5 years straight and teaching it for free so that you can develop mastery. That's impact. Like people have gotten transformations for me long before they paid me for the transformation. You can transform somebody's lives without having monetization in the picture. You can transform somebody's lives with having monetization in the picture. You can transform somebody's life by doing both. I'm transforming somebody right now. I don't know who it is, but I've said something today that at least one of y'all needed to hear, and somebody's going to make a different decision this time tomorrow that's going to change everything for them. Somebody has heard something already 35 minutes in that's going to change the next decision they make when it comes to their assignment. You can impact somebody without charging, or you can do both. I believe in the both and model. I work for free and I work for money. So I don't want to hear any excuses. Your belief that consumption makes you good is wrong. Producing is what gives you mastery. Producing it is what makes you good. And that is how you close the gap between your intent and your impact. If those numbers are not the same, then you're in trouble. If those numbers are not the same, then you're in trouble. So we got to stop getting these dopamine hits off of consumption, and we got to start getting the real high, which is transformation. When is the last time that somebody hugged you, thanked you, sent you a private email, a private DM, came up after your workshop to shake your hand, ordered your book, and then send you a note and told you how much it changed your life? When's the last time somebody enrolled in one of your programs? When's the last time somebody sat in the audience at one of your talks and had a revelation, had an epitome that helped to move the needle for them in their life? That's what you set out to do, isn't it? Isn't that what you set out to do? So if your impact, so let me say this, and then we're going to wrap up. Usually for us, because culturally as a people, we have been collectively victims of so much injustice and inequality. Typically for us, for like women of color, our assignments are usually tied to one of three things, okay? And this is just because of, our unique experience, people of color, our unique experience of being Black in America, okay? Whether you're a man or a woman, but if you're a person of color, we have had, arguably a different experience in being Black in America. So what typically happens, this is what I see just based on the thousands of people I've helped in my little corner of the planet, okay? Usually I see with us that our assignments and the things that we feel called to have to do with one of three things. It either has to do with injustice. So somewhere where we see something like, it's like, that's not right, right? Or in inequity, where it's like, this is not equal access. This is not like this person doesn't have the same shot as this person in this arena, right? So usually our missions are either tied to injustice or inequity or inefficiency, right? So what I normally see with us is that one of those three things are typically the catalyst for how we want to serve or why we want to serve. Like for me, it was injustice and inequity, mostly inequity, right? Like, whoa, people of color are dying from preventable and reversible lifestyle diseases like heart disease and obesity and kidney failure and fatty liver disease and type 2 diabetes. I'm like, why are we living 20 years with type 2 diabetes when you can reverse it? Why are we dying from heart attacks when the high blood pressure and the high cholesterol was reversible? Like, I was confused. Like, wait a minute, something's off here. So my mission and my assignment and all the work and programs that we create in my company, they stemmed from that. And in equity, I'm like, okay, we're not getting the same treatment in these Western medicine this Western medicine institution as some of the others. Oh, the more money you have dictates the quality of care you receive. Got it. Okay. Well, let me do my little part, right? Like, I'm gonna work in tandem with Western medicine. Like, you can still go to your doctor, take their meds if you want to. That's no problem. That's your personal choice. That's your right. Some of you need them. Absolutely. However, let me introduce an alternative that you can use instead or in conjunction with the Western medicine practices. So that was my shot at combating the inequities in Western medicine for marginalized people. I'm like, well, did you know you could also eat this, move like this, live a meaningful life of purpose? Did you know that you could do this? Did you know that if you slept like this? Did you know if you breathe fresh air like this? Did you know if it, like, all of that could also help? Did you know that could drive down your A1C? Did you know that more fiber and no saturated fat could actually help us reverse the type 2 diabetes? Like, did you know that if we restored your gut health, that could significantly reduce the symptoms of depression? Like, did you know? And so then when I started, I'm like, this is my attempt at the inequities that I see in Western medicine for people of color. So for a lot of us, our work and the things and the missions that we feel called to are based on injustice, inequities, or inefficiency. Inefficiency means something like, it's not that you guys are doing it wrong, it just can be done better. It's not that you're doing something wrong, it can be done better, right? And so a lot of you guys are in spaces like that. Like, I'm not telling you the information they gave you was wrong when it comes to your financial wellness. I'm not saying the information they gave you was wrong when it comes to like organizing your life this way, but here's a way to do it better, right? So inefficiency, inequities, or injustice. So if we are tackling major problems like that, but we feel like I need to consume information for 10, 15 years before I'm ready, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. You actually might be exacerbating the problem by deciding not to do anything about it because your personal feelings are that you are not good enough yet. You see the problem. You upset about the problem. You passionate about the problem. But you still not producing to help solve the problem. You don't have a signature talk. You don't have a podcast. You don't have a book. You don't have a blog. You don't have a weekly article. You don't have a social media page. You don't have anywhere where we can go to hear your perspective and your solution to the injustice, inequity, and insufficiency in the field that you're in, yet you want to be mad about something. That's crazy. You still a consumer, not a producer, but you want to be mad about something. That's crazy. That's crazy. You done messed around and became part of the problem because you so busy consuming information privately and ain't done nothing about it publicly. You might be part of the problem. My, have the tables have turned. Here's what I'll leave you with today, boys and girls, and then we got 2 announcements. Here's the things I'll leave you with. Disobedience and regret has to start scaring you more than failure and embarrassment or whatever you're afraid of that's stopping you from launching. Disobedience to what God told you to do and regret, living a life of regret, looking back and saying, I wish I had, fill in the blank. That needs to start scaring you more than potential failure or embarrassment if you start something and you don't, because you're new at it and you're not good yet. You worried about what you're going to look like and what you're going to appear to for other people who also ain't producing. Craziness. Disobedience and regret needs to start scaring you more than failure and embarrassment or whatever else you're afraid of. It has to start, because as long as the fear of failure and the fear of embarrassment and your desire to people please continues to inform your decision making, you're going to continue to have a major gap between your intent and your impact. If those two numbers are not aligned, your only mission should be to close the gap as quickly as possible. That's what I want you to know. That's what I want you to know. Stop consuming so much information thinking that consumption makes you good. It does not. Producing is what makes you good. Producing is what gives you mastery. Teaching is what gives you mastery. Simplifying information so a group of people can understand it better is what gives you mastery. Storytelling is what gives you mastery. Creating frameworks and then teaching them is what gives you mastery. Just consuming with no producing does not give you mastery. Yes, it makes you more informed. It makes you more knowledgeable. That has nothing to do with mastery. You need to write a book. You need to create the podcast. Like, you need to start a recurring show on YouTube. You need to host a live in-person class. You need to start coaching. And I didn't suggest anything about whether or not you choose to monetize. I don't care if you attach a price tag to this or not. You can choose whether you want to volunteer your time or have a for-profit business or have a nonprofit business or a combination of the two. I don't care. All I know is your belief that consumption makes you good has not served you up until this point. And one of the things I tell all my audiences when I speak is, if what you have been doing has not been working, it's time to do something else. Disobedience and regret should start scaring you more than the fear of failure or embarrassment or the desire to people please. That's it, and that's all. Listen to me very closely. I just told you that one of our students who took our last plant protocol 30-day vegan challenge, along with many other students that took our challenge, they've lost a ton of weight. They're getting off of medications. Chronic pain has subsided. Inflammation is going down. And most importantly, they're finally launching their initiatives. If you have a desire to have a personal brand and you want to be a leader, a speaker, a coach, a consultant that requires your personal persona, then I want to encourage you to register for our next challenge, okay? I'm telling you, you need this information. You need to be in the room with me in my mastery, okay? And so the next challenge starts July 1st. It's free, but prep classes start in April, okay? We're currently on the last day of March. Prep classes start in April, going to start at the end of April. So April, May, and June will be prep classes. The launch starts July 1. If you know you need to optimize your physical health, your mindset, and your emotional intelligence to improve your decision making and to increase your comfort with being on stage and in front of people and talking and teaching and producing, then you need to be in my challenge. Our next challenge is going to be dedicated specifically to that group of people who desire to have a personal brand. And so if you need to learn the health stuff, what to eat, what to drink, how to move, right, to optimize physical health. A lot of you guys know I started my journey losing 60 plus pounds. So that's how I launch everybody else's journey who wants to have a personal brand. I make sure your physical and emotional health is optimized so that we can produce at a high level. Because we don't want to just produce, we want to produce really, really great content, right? And so if you know we need to start there, then I need you to get registered for free for our next challenge. I would highly recommend upgrading to VIP, Ultra VIP. Why? Because the young lady who I told you about, who I asked her those two questions about intent and impact, and we had a nice coaching session about her assignment, she was an Ultra VIP. And that was what that happened in our private coaching session. And now in March, we had that conversation in January. It's March, and she's launched her mentorship program. So I'm telling you, you get in the right ecosystem, you get with the right coach, things will change for you. Okay. So register for the challenge, whatever tier resonates with you, free, VIP, or ultra VIP, so that you don't miss our prep classes starting in April. And then challenge launch July 1. And the needle can be moved for you. You can be much, much closer to closing the gap between your intent and your impact come July 30th. Like between now and July 30th, you rock with us and watch and see what happens. Now, only come over here if you're ready. Don't come over here with no foolishness. Okay. Don't come over here like, I'm just trying to learn more. I just want to consume. Because when I tell you what to go out and do, you got to be ready to do it. You got to be ready to do it. If you raise your hand and tell me your assignment and I start asking you questions about where you are and where we need to get to, I'm probably going to give you some homework. And if you're not ready to get her done, now the rest is on you. Okay. But that's my invitation to those of you for whom this episode resonated. Get registered for our next 30-day challenge. If you're listening to this on the podcast, the link is in the show notes. If you're listening to this and watching this on YouTube, the link is pinned at the top. If you're watching this on Instagram, you're going to go to the link in my bio, or you can just DM me the word challenge and we'll send the registration page over to you. Okay. So that is my takeaways for you today. And then here's a final announcement, guys. Today, we went live today. Next Monday will be my last live on Instagram. So Instagram, we're moving completely to YouTube, y'all. Completely to YouTube. So YouTube, you're good. Instagram, listen closely. There will be one more live on Instagram next Monday, April 7th, and then you're going to have to watch us on YouTube. Okay. So make sure you're subscribed to me on YouTube so that you get notifications and everything. I'm live every Monday morning, 10 a.m. EST is my Monday morning keynote. And so make sure you are subscribed to me on YouTube and you'll be watching me over there. So we got one more week on Insta. One more week on Insta. And then starting April 14th, I think it's going to be. April 14th will be completely, exclusively on YouTube. You guys going to see me on YouTube even more. Like I'm going live on Mondays. I might go live one more time throughout the week. And then a lot more stuff is happening. So that is that. Let me answer any questions that came in. I think Jamaica said, do we need to shift if the numbers are equal? No, like Jamaica, if your intent and your impact are equal, like your impact is keeping up with your intent, then no, you do not need to shift. That means impact means you're doing everything in your power. Like you are doing everything you possibly can to serve at the level in which you intend to. So if those numbers are equal, well done, right? Well done. Okay. Rochelle on YouTube says, where's the link to sign up for the challenge? It's pinned right at the top here in the comments, Rochelle, but I can drop it again for you. That's no problem. Let me drop it again for you, but it's pinned at the top of the comments. But here it is again. So it's just lisaangelsmith.com/challenge, and you can get registered for the challenge. IG says, hello, do you have just a program for starting plant-based eating? I do. That is our Farm to Table plant-based coaching program. So it's not a business coaching program. It's strictly a health coaching program, strictly for plant-based eating, like exactly what you're asking for. So we're in the midst of teaching a cohort of Farm to Table right now. The next one is going to start at the end of our next challenge. So the best place to start with us right now, if you need help right now, is going to be with our challenge because our masterclasses start in April. And so it's going to be lisaangelsmith.com/challenge. And shoot me a DM and I'm happy to shoot you over the link. I know if we put links here in the chat on Instagram, they're not hyperlinked. But the challenge, our plant protocol 30-day plant-based salt, oil, and sugar-free challenge is the best place to start right now. Because like I said, we're starting master classes this month. Yeah. All right. Helena said, I thought you were going to say no more weekly calls. Glad to know all I have to do is hop over to YouTube. That's it. So make sure you subscribe to me on YouTube at Lisa Angel Smith. Let me see any other questions. I thought I had missed one. Let me triple check. Any other questions, guys, for me? Oh, how do I get back into the community? My energy is so low. Late bloomer 391. Register for the challenge. Also, because like I said, our master classes are starting in April. So we'll be coming together. I'll be prepping you guys for the challenge starting in June. Every prep masterclass has a different topic. So we'll be together April, May, June. June will be for VIPs only. So if you're going to be general admission for the challenge, you'll have 2 prep masterclasses, April and May. If you are going to be VIP or ultra VIP for the challenge, you'll have April, May, and June for prep. And then we'll be doing the challenge together in July. So that's one way to get back into the community. But you also can let me know what you're needing. I don't know if it's from a health standpoint, a business standpoint, or a personal development standpoint. Because I'm going to have 1 to 2 slots open in April for private coaching as well. So private coaching, I have a interview with somebody already this week for private coaching. So she'll probably take 1 slot. So I might have 1 or 2 more remaining for private coaching. So that's also an option. If it's something we need to work on together right away. So private coaching, I have an application for that. Just email me or DM me and I'll shoot you over my application for private coaching if you're interested. Otherwise, I would say just register for the challenge and start our prep classes with us in April. Okay. Any other questions? I don't see anything else in the comments. Very good. What's this good today, guys? Before we hop off, just do me a huge favor and put your major takeaways in the chat. Put your major takeaways in the chat. And that's my fee for free. Like I'm coming on here every Monday doing a whole keynote for y'all. I prepare for these, but I want to know what you got out of it. Okay. Let's see. Susan says, clarifying, I got it. Signing up for the VIP or ultra VIP classes put me into the classes for April to June. That is correct, Susan. If you are VIP or ultra VIP for our challenge, you will have 3 prep master classes. General admission will have 2. Okay. So general admission will have April and May. VIP and ultra VIP will have April, May, June. Okay. Wanda says her takeaway was intent versus impact numbers, fix them. That's right. Stacy said the same thing. Intent versus impact. Absolutely. So what was any other major takeaways from today on today's topic about the one belief you've had that's been keeping you stuck? Let's see. Alina says disobedience or regret have to start scaring you more than potential failure or embarrassment. That's right. That's right, Helena. You nailed that. Got to, right? Consumption of information does not make us good and it does not give us mastery. Only producing does that. Lorraine says being a consumer for way too long, way past the point of qualification. Like we're consuming content far past when we're qualified. Trevor says regret and disobedience trumps failure. Yep. Late bloomer, I overconsume and I'm not producing. Yep. Wanda said, if you were in the challenge before, do you have to register or is it automatically done? You have to register. You have to register again. Absolutely. So please register. It takes 2 seconds, just name and email. And I think 2 other questions about like your experience with a plant-based diet and stuff like that. Rochelle says, don't let fear prevent you from moving forward. Exactly. Like, guys, like when I first started teaching my first Saturday class, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put myself out there. I literally put a link up on Eventbrite, an event on Eventbrite, and I'm like, hey, I'll be teaching plant-based nutrition in downtown Detroit. Come and hear it. And I showed up and I just started like, heck yeah, scary at first. You literally got people registering and attending and you're like, I got to do what I said I was going to do. And you do. But that's why everybody doesn't do it. And that's why those of us who are successful at it is because we push through that fear and that discomfort, right? So, hey, what up, Melissa? She said, I got on here late, but I did catch sharing and producing overconsumption. There you go, Melissa. Man, this was a good one, Melissa, if you can watch the replay, but it'll also be on the podcast in a couple of weeks as well. Okay. All right. I think you guys got it. This is phenomenal. thank you guys for joining today. Remember that one more live on Instagram, and then we're exclusively on YouTube. So Instagram, y'all got one more week. So I'll warn you guys again next Monday, and then we're exclusively on YouTube. Okay, so great job. Josh said diet and nutrition are where I need to improve. Oh, come on, Josh. You already know I got you. Just let me know. Just let me know. Okay, so have a phenomenal day, you guys. See you next week, Rhonda. See you guys. Have a phenomenal day. Talk to you soon. Listen back to this if you need to be yelled at again so you can start producing. That's all you got to do. Just keep me the voice in your head and we'll be good. Bye, guys.